Hello there, it's me, Kimberly from KimberlyGosney.com. I am super excited to be sharing my Headway Themes review with you today for version 4.0. I have been waiting a long time to put together this review for you, and I'm just super excited that you're here. So a few things before we jump in and get started. If you are currently using Headway Themes version 3.8.8, you're cool and it's a great idea to stick with that version for now because there are still a few kinks that are being worked out for version 4.0.7. So once again, if you are using 3.8.8, just simmer on the back burner with it for a little longer because 4.0.7 still has a couple of things that they're working on, ironing out and fixing up for the next release. So they're getting ready to do an update for a new version for 4.0.7, so probably 4.0.8. So stick around and stay tuned because when that release comes out, I'll do another quickie review to show you the differences between the two. So that being said, let's dig right in. I am super stoked to be sharing this with you today. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about here in my review of Headway Themes version 4.0.7 is the difference in the grid editor and design editor. That is a huge difference between the earlier versions 3.8.8 and under. So I'm going to go ahead and hover over to Headway and you'll notice that there is only one visual editor. There's no more grid and design mode. So when we click on visual editor, what has happened is they have taken the grid editor and the design editor and they've blended them more seamlessly together. Alright, so what you're seeing right now is the new layout editor. They've renamed the grid editor the layout editor. So here inside the layout editor, you're going to be able to do all of those things that you could do before, like adding in new wrappers, new grids, all that good stuff, putting in your blocks, and moving things around. So that part is now inside the layout editor. And to get to the design editor, it used to be you had to go to this whole separate tab in your browser. But no more. Now all you do is toggle down to the design editor view, and then this changes the view of what you're able to adjust here inside Headway. So let's take a peek at the layout editor, and inside the layout editor you've got your options to add wrappers, and they do now have a few preset ones for you. So you can pop in a logo area with a search bar and a navigation menu. There's a couple of different options. So you can add in pre-made little chunks. There's also pre-made little blog setups for you and pre-made little portfolio areas. So you can set those things in, and then they are ready to go right out of the wrapper, so to speak. So those are some of the preset options. You've also got the traditional, so you've got your fixed wrappers, fixed grids. You've got your fluid wrapper with a fixed grid, and you've got your fluid wrapper with a fluid grid. Now before I go getting all geeky on you, because you know how much I love to talk about wrappers and grids, I'm going to keep this short and sweet today, but that's just a little overview of some of the things that you can add into your site in 4.0.7. You'll also notice that you can clone layouts, you can import and export layouts, and you can do your grid settings here as well as your guides. You can toggle the little guidelines that pop up. I don't know if I've got any showing right now, but I'll click and see, and you can see between the actual gridded out lines or no lines, so that part is nice. You can also toggle the wireframe on and off so that you can see what you're building, and you've also got the ability to turn off the toggle snapping, which is what snaps things to the grid behind it in the background. So you also still have snapshots. Yay! I'm so glad snapshots are still here because they have saved my shiny happy hiney more than one occasion. They have definitely saved me. So that is kind of like a little quickie overview of what's here inside the new layout editor, which is what was the grid editor. So you also have the ability here inside this mode to move things around and position them where you want to see them on the screen. And so in the past within the grid editor, when you put something in here, you kind of had to keep things lined up in rows and columns so that when you saved it, everything would appear correct on the screen, but they have removed that. So now you can put something anywhere you want it to be and that's where it will show. So like if you wanted to have things that were not aligned together, that were like side by side but on a diagonal. So like for example, if I wanted to move this text block over here and then I wanted to grab this button and I wanted to put it down and below, which I wouldn't really do that, but if I wanted to move that over here on this corner, I could definitely do that, and then when it shows up on the screen, it will show up in that diagonal pattern, and it will appear exactly as it is here versus being lined up like they used to be inside the grid editor. So I hope that that part makes sense. I know I got a little geeky there, but you can put stuff wherever you want it now, and this makes it really nice because you're no longer constrained by having to have things follow a specific set structure, top to bottom and side to side. So I hope that helps because I know I got a little geeky there. So let me refresh this page. And the next thing that I want to talk to you about is mobile responsive views, because in past versions of Headway Themes, so anything 3.8.8 or under, we didn't really have the ability to check how our things looked on mobile. So tablet view and smartphone view. What I always did in the past was I grabbed my iPhone to check my layouts and I grabbed my daughter's iPad. So we don't have to do that anymore because now here inside both the layout editor and the design editor, we have these different views. We've got our desktop view, our tablet preview, which shows us a mini version like a tablet would look on our site, and also our smartphone view. So now you can check those things without having to grab all of your electronic devices, and it saves you a ton of time. So now that we've talked about the changes in the grid editor, which is now the layout editor, and we've talked about the mobile responsive views and tablet previews and smartphone previews, I wanted to take a quick second to talk to you a little bit about the design editor because this has gotten really souped up. So I'm going to start with the desktop view. In the past, we had control over things here inside the design editor, and we could just click on something, you would right click on it, and it would bring up the properties and you could adjust those things on the side. But now you have a really insane amount of ways to edit things. So you can now control each individual single element on a page. So for example, if you want to control just the menu item for this one button, you can make this totally different from the one beside it. So that part is very cool. So you have the ability now to go in and fine tune and adjust specific to each individual element on a page. And with that, opens up like Pandora's box. Like you can do just about anything that you would want to do. And you can even edit the elements of other plugins and other things that are not just Headway components. So that part is really geeky awesome. So now I want to talk to you about something else that's a little bit different, and that's here on this side panel. So like there is this thing now called the navigator, which we used to have. It just looked a little different in Headway 3.8.8 and under, but now you can get specific to not only the body, but to each individual wrapper, and you can see the place that you're at really quickly. So you can know exactly what you're editing, and you can make your changes to those things by just clicking on it. So now you don't have to hunt and peck and try to figure out, am I in the wrapper? Am I in the grid? Like, where am I? You'll know exactly where you're at. So that part is really nice. Now let's talk about CSS and custom coding here inside the new Headway 4.0.7. To me, it seems like we've eliminated a lot of that, but we've added a lot of extra stuff here. So before, when you came into the CSS editor, in most of the cases of like my DIY participants in making Headway and my custom site design clients, we didn't do a lot of CSS styling. Like we did a lot of it inside the grid and design editor, so we didn't have to do much tweaking here. Now inside the CSS editor, it is pretty much everything for your entire site is inside this container. So while we have more ability to adjust things so that we don't have to use so much custom coding, you will find that this is very advanced. So this can look a little overwhelming. So you just have to take a deep breath when you get in here and make sure that you label things if you are using the CSS Live Editor, because now it contains everything for your site CSS wise. So that part is a big difference. Okay. So let me think, is there anything that I have forgotten to go over with you? Is there anything in this little mini that I didn't mention? Let's talk about shared layouts. Shared layouts are still here. They're still easy to find under your shared layouts button. So that part still stays the same. And you can still use your shared layouts, and in fact I recommend that you use shared layouts now for every page of your site with the exception of your blog index. So I think that covers everything that I wanted to share with you today about Headway Themes version 4.0.7. There is one thing that I wanted to talk to you about in terms of a little bit of a bug or something that's a little wonky that's going on here inside Headway version 4.0.7, and that is how things are laid out for mobile responsive view with buttons. So I want to show you this part. So I'm going to scroll down here on this page. I'm just going to keep scrolling to this section that has the boxes. So when you're looking at this page, you'll see that there's week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, right? And normally in mobile view, when you view this, they would go left to right, then top to bottom. So in the normal mobile view with 4.0.7, there's a little wonkiness here. So in 3.8.8 on mobile, it would show this one, then 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 this one. So it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, top to bottom on mobile, lined up like little soldiers. You would see one at a time in the row. But on the new version of 4.0.7, there's a little wonkiness with mobile responsive ordering. So what you would see on an iPhone preview would be top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom. So you would see 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, and then 6. So I know that that is a little weird, especially if you like to put things in orders like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like I do. So I know that they are working on this for the new update to what I guess would be 4.0.8. So there you have it. That's my mini quickie review of 4.0.7, and I hope you enjoyed this review. And I will have some upcoming tutorials on 4.0.7 for my Making Headway fans. So if you'd like to hop in for our next round of Making Headway, we get started in September of 2016. Oh my gosh, how time flies. So all you have to do if you'd like to be on the list to find out when that opens up is you just have to hop over to makingheadway.us. So when you get to makingheadway.us, you're going to see the Join the VIP waitlist, and I'd love to have you join the waitlist so that when Making Headway opens up, you'll be the first to find out about it. So, and feel free to also pop in the comments below if you have any questions for me about Headway Themes 4.0.7. And this site, makingheadway.us, is running on 4.0.7 right now. Thanks and have a great day. Bye.